It's called the spray and pray model, producing a media release and just emailing it bulk to 100 journalists. You're not likely to see much of a result from that. I was a little bit lucky, actually, the first time I approached a journalist. I did literally just email an Australian Financial Review journalist a fintech story, and he actually called me back on my mobile phone number. And I realise now that is extremely unlikely to happen. It was just that the story I had was a story he really couldn't say no to. There's nothing to say you can't simply email a media release to a journalist. There's no legal or technical reason why you can't do that. In fact, journalists' email addresses are pretty easy to obtain. Is that going to lead to the journalist writing a story about you? Very unlikely, unless you are such a big company that pretty much anything you do is news. Well, given I work a lot with startups, I'm not working with companies that journalists have to engage with. It's really their choice whether they want to engage with it. So there genuinely has to be enough news or a really interesting narrative, a really interesting story in there. Look, I did a little bit of pro bono work a couple of years ago for a venture that I came across, and I just liked what she was doing, and she actually had a good news story. And I said to her, look, I'll just get you some names and email addresses of journalists. And I gave that to her. I also gave her some feedback on her media release. She actually did the actual contacting of the journalists herself, but she didn't get any stories written. Now, there are databases you can subscribe to. There are commercially available databases. We have one at my firm, Reputation Edge. We do pay thousands of dollars a year, however, to access that database. And it has journalists' email addresses. It has journalists' mobile phone numbers. It has, if the journalist has contributed it, it'll have a little bit of information about the journalist as to, do they accept pitches from PRs? Do they not? Is there a preferred way? Do they like emails? Do they like emails in the morning, for example, or do they like emails in the afternoon?